fuel aspect of it. And this is really different, but it is really important. It's really powerful. And so, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I started in what today is called mindfulness back in the day when I was a teenager and got involved in martial arts. And back then, it wasn't this catchy new age buzzword. It was part of the training. It was a method of focus awareness. And I've been doing that regularly. It's a big part of my life and has been for the many decades since I was first introduced to it, as a teenager. And so, Eric, if you don't mind, just go ahead and putting up that chart. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about the mindfulness and its benefits. And what is it when we talk about mindfulness? What are we really talking about? Well, as I mentioned, it's about focus, and it's really an attitude towards experience. And by that, I mean, it's awareness, it's being in the present moment. And it's a little bit more. It's not just about being in the present moment, but it's being in the present moment with acceptance, about focusing and accepting the moment. And this is really important, and it's become an important therapeutic modality because of all the different clinical techniques that have been introduced in the study of positive psychology. Actually, absolutely none is more powerful than mindfulness. And I also want to real quickly address, some of the misinformation that surrounds mindfulness. So it's not about just having this Zen calm all the time, eliminating our emotions and our thoughts. Because when we talk about culinary medicine, that's a huge part of the food experience. And our minds as human beings, thinking is what we do. Our mind was created to give birth to thoughts. So it's not about eliminating them, suppressing them, moving away from them, but it is about, and again, this is one of our focuses in culinary medicine. We work on changing that food relationship, our relationship to food. And so the mindfulness aspect of this is about changing our relationship to our thought stream. And the purpose is to more fully awaken our mind and body so that we're more fully immersed in life. And that sounds great. But when it comes to culinary medicine, it's sort of a bit of show me the money. So, what does it do? What do we know that it does? What has the science taught us in data? And without getting too much in the weeds about certain areas of brain that turn on and turn off when we experience different things, I just want to real quickly run this list. And one, it's been shown to quiet areas of the brain that are concerned with self-referential thought. That means that we're less immersed, we're less, and for any of the Beatles fans out there, I, me, mine, that old Beatles song, we're less about I, me, mine, and we're more accepting, we're more connected. And that leads to a sense of wellness, which leads to a sense of well-being, which leads to improved health. And the exercise I want to walk us through a little later in the webinar that we'll do at the end really focuses on that state of connectedness. So last month, and you can go back and watch the webinars, they're all on a YouTube series. If you missed that one, we really concentrated on food and we focused on an internal journey. What is that food telling us? What are we experiencing? What are we tasting? In a way, really engaging in a relationship with our food in an internal, very personal type of way. And today we're going to go on a journey that's much more external. So we're going to use the food experience in the opposite way, and we're going to go outward and work on what is termed in mindfulness, study and application, connectedness. So today, what you really need, if it's something that you want to do, and certainly you can just sit through it without thoroughly engage it, but I encourage you to jump in with both feet. And so what you'll need is something to drink. So if you're at a time and a place and you're so inclined, This exercise works well with a glass of wine, a beer, a spirit. Certainly, I'm here. I have my green tea from Japan. A cup of coffee is great. If you'd like to just have some water, I recommend that. Carbonated water is fantastic. It's going to have that little bit of fizz. You want to put a bit of citrus in there. That works too. I would ask you to stay away from soft drinks, sodas, the energy drinks, things like that. Those, as we talk about in the course, are really created to be hyper palatable. They contain a lot of things that actually go and through chemical mechanisms activate the areas of the brain that we don't really want necessarily to be activated when we're trying to do this mindfulness study. Some of the other things that mindfulness does, and one of the reasons that we use it in culinary medicine, is it allows us to really focus on our relationship. And when we use food as the focus, as we do in culinary medicine, it allows us to start to build that new relationship with food, what we call the food experience in the course. And if you haven't checked out our course, I encourage you to head over to www.chefdrmike.com. And you can find all the information on the course. You can find the links to sign up at the university there. Also, please do follow us on social media so you can see what we're up to. We've got a heck of a 2021 plan with lots of exciting things coming along. But back to the mindfulness, there actually is a whole area of study within the practice of mindfulness within the psychiatry and psychological community within cognitive behavior therapists that is actually called MBE, and that stands for Mind-Based Eating Awareness Techniques. And so these are actually what I'm sharing with you are ones that I've developed, again, that really focus on our relationships with food. You'll see other mindfulness courses where people will have a different focus. You may have, and certainly what I started with through the martial arts was really just working on the breath as a focus. So you'll see people work on breathing. You'll see people use mantras or certain chanting as their place of focus. Certainly, again, people do walking meditation, to hike, and that's great. You're getting some exercise as well. What does all of this do, no matter how or what pathway of mindfulness that we choose? Well, it actually changes not only the function, but the very structure of our brain. When we use these areas of our brain, as I talked about last time, the old concept of brain development was that we had all the neurons that we were ever going to get, all the connections that were ever going to be wired by the time we were in our early 20s or so. And then over time, they slowly, irrevocably, didn't matter what we did, they started to decline. And what we know, fortunately now, is that's not true. We have something called experience-dependent neuroplasticity. And that means that those areas of the brain we use will actually continue to develop, strengthen their connection. And when those neurons talk to each other, there's a saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. And what that means is those areas of the brain that talk to each other actually develop, and we can measure through things like functional MRI and MRI that there's cortical thickening. So we're preserving brain function, and we can actually change both the function and the structure of our brain in a positive way through regular mindfulness exercises. As we develop these types of exercises and improve the function and structure, excuse me, what that does is it prevents atrophy of those areas of the brain that we normally see with normal aging. So what we call normal aging can actually be delayed or in cases prevented when we look at people who take part in regular exercises of mindfulness. And wonderfully, fortuitously, when we engage in this mindful activity, the areas of the brain that tend to be preserved are those that also keep us happy, energized, and actively engaged in life. And there is, though it seems actually incredible, and actually I went back and read the research. The person who discovered this, she's a researcher out in California. She actually won the Nobel Prize for demonstrating this. And that was with the mindfulness exercises. They affect our telomeres. Now, telomeres, in case you don't know, are a way to measure aging. So we often measure ourselves chronologically, and we say, I'm so many years old. But there's also what we call a physiologic age, which is when we look at ourselves, sort of the wear and the tear. As you know, I often say, it's not so much the years as the miles, and constant stress, constant strain, many things that can negatively affect us can actually accelerate what we would call this physiologic aging. So somebody might be 30 years old, but physiologically they might be 37. And likewise, somebody might be 30 years old, but physiologically they're only 25. And when we regularly engage in the mindfulness activities, what we find is that we can lengthen these telomeres. They become longer. And that's actually a sign of starting to reverse, and yes, I did say reverse, some of the effects of aging. So it helps keep us more cognitive. It helps present the physiologic deterioration associated with aging in our body. All this when we simply undergo a way to enjoy food. And we, again, obviously what we use in culinary medicine is these mindfully based eating awareness techniques, or MBE techniques. And why does food lend itself so naturally? Why do we include it as part of the culinary medicine course? Well, obviously I've given you some of the health benefits, but when we talk about mindfulness in any measure or any method, what it comes down to is the fact that you can only understand this through personal technique. You can't go to YouTube and watch a video and be mindful. You can't really just read a book and say, okay, I got mindfulness. You can't take a college course and say, I got mindfulness. We learned in the martial arts, you've got to get out there and do those techniques. It has to be learned through personal experience. Well, in culinary medicine, that's what we're teaching. Food can really only be understood, and the benefits of food in terms of our culinary medicine approach is through what we call the food experience. Well, that's the personal experience that comes back to the individual. And so that's why these MBE awareness techniques, using food as our area of focus, just so naturally come back and is so applicable in the study and in the practice of culinary medicine. And so the last thing that I want to touch on before we actually go into our exercise is the idea of formal versus informal exercises. And I mentioned it on the webinar that we did in December. And because of the time limit, I didn't get a chance to explain it. We got some questions about that. And so mindfulness exercises, the ones that we practice, we give them to you in two flavors, and we call them simply informal and formal techniques. So if you want to think about it, it's sort of exactly what it sounds. And I'll do the formal one first. And so formal is like when you say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to do these set of exercises on these days for 1 hour from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And, that's my workout. So taking that same approach to mindfulness, you're going to dedicate a time, you're going to go in and you're going to do these specific exercises on these days on a regular basis. Informal exercise is much more like saying, you know what, I'm going to the mall, but I'm going to park my car, really far away, and I'm going to get in a little extra exercise, as I walk to the mall or to the store to do these things. Both have their advantages. Certainly, the exercises that we did in December and the one we'll do today, I throw those into the informal category. You can certainly expand upon them, take a dedicated time, find a space, and make them a formal exercise. And there's a lot of crossover kind of between the two. So the nice thing about the informal exercise, excuse me, is that it's something that can be done really great. So we talked about, last time, simply with a little bit of food, a little appetizer, or even, just a piece of fruit, you could take just a few minutes and get a little mindfulness, and a little bit helps. Every little bit helps. Get us in the way, and you start building it into your daily routine. And then maybe eventually you want to incorporate some sort of formal program. There's sort of a corollary to mindfulness study that actually goes back to the Buddhist approach in things. And the saying really correlates, and it's, a little questioning, a little awareness. A lot of questioning, a little questioning, a little understanding. A lot of questioning, great awareness. No questioning, no awareness. And so it's the same here. You do it a little, you'll get some benefit, just like parking the car. You do a lot and you start to put it into daily routine, you'll start to see more benefits. Don't do it at all, don't expect any benefit. So, with that being said, I want to go ahead and if you could put me back on the screen, Eric, so I am here with you. I've got my cup of green tea, and we're going to, again, if you want to participate, just get a drink. Just stay away from the soft drinks. Again, the energy drinks, those sorts of things. Coffee, tea, as I said, if you're in a place with wine or beer, that actually works well through this. Water, carbonated water, a piece of citrus, fresh mint leaf, whatever you'd like, if you'd like to participate. We're going to go through this, and then all our webinars are available on YouTube. So if it's something that you want to go back through and maybe have a different drink and a different experience and have me walk you through it again, you can get on YouTube. Just fast forward to the last bit here where we're doing the exercise, and enjoy it and compare and contrast. So these are resources that will be available for you on the web to use anytime. And so go ahead, Eric, if you could put the backdrop up, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of get offline here so that folks can get ready. And let's go ahead and get your drink wherever it is, bring it up. And wherever you are, if you're not in a quiet, comfortable place, take a moment, move yourself there, and just find some corner, some seat where you can be alone and not disturbed. And the first thing, as in all our mindfulness exercises, let's go ahead and assume a dignified yet relaxed posture. Now with me, let's take a deep breath in. And feel that air move through your nose, relaxing your neck and your shoulders as it moves down and expands into your lungs. Exhale out slowly. Allow the tension from your body to exit with it. And if you've got a warm drink, I've certainly got some green tea here. When I breathe in, I'm going to hold that right up in front of my nose, and I'm going to get the sense and begin to experience that drink. So let's do that again. Long, slow breath in. Hold it a minute. Feel it expand in your lungs. Feel that. Feel what that air is in your body. And breathe it out. And as you breathe it out, let that tension move outwards with it. And a third time. Slowly, deeply in. Hold it for a minute. Be aware, the breath of life. Now slowly exhale and allow it to carry that tension, that tightness from all areas of your body out. And now continue to just slowly repeat that breathing pattern. Now focus your attention from the breath to what connects you in this moment to the big picture, to the universe of things and events and relationships that surround you. Now, if you can, Gently move your focus to your glass or cup of beverage, be that wine, coffee, or for me, I've got my tea. And I want you to gently taste it with a small sip and close your eyes. Is it effervescent? Is there bitterness? Is there sweetness? Focus on the specifics of that taste. What is it that you're drinking? Was it a coffee from Sumatra or a fermented tea from Japan? Perhaps you had a glass of fine French wine. How old was that wine? Was it 1, 3, maybe even 5 years old? Wow, 5 years old. What were you like 5 years ago? What were you experiencing in your life that you can recall and connect to 5 years ago? Can you recall a summer's day 5 years ago? If you enjoyed tea or coffee, can you go back to that season of its harvest? Can you now feel the warmth of the sun and the kiss of the breeze? And perhaps there was a little activity with some insects buzzing around outdoors at that time. Now take another sip of your wine or your tea or your coffee, whatever that beverage is, and try to recall those moments in the life of this beverage. At that time, you were doing those things and you were experiencing those things in your life. The grapes that became the wine were on the vine. The leaves that became the tea were reaching for the sun, and the beans that became the coffee were young flowers. They were harvesting that same sunlight that you danced in. In that sip of wine or tea or coffee, you and the grapes or the leaves or the beans or the water were all part of some distant but connected adventure. And it was an adventure in time in which your paths would not cross until you took that most recent sip. Take another one and delve deeply on the taste of that liquid, that particular sip. Can you feel yourself connecting in space and time to those plants, to the very hillside upon which they grew? Connect to the leaves, the trunk of the plant, and further down into those roots as they search and grip the soil. Can you feel the sun and the wind and the rain that in turn made their visit to the valley, to the hillside, and nurse the leaves, the fruits, the berries? Take another sip, roll it around in your mouth, and feel that rich liquid coating your throat, your tongue. That liquid holds the essence, that memory of not only that place in space, but in time. And today you cross paths. Wow, just drinking this liquid is like a time machine, taking us back, connecting us. The power of terroir. Now, can you extend your reach from that plant that produced your drink that you're enjoying today to the hillside? Feel the sunshine. Reach out. Can you feel all the beings there on that summer's day? Wow. Now bring that feeling, that connection to your present moment. Allow it to reach out and embrace your surroundings. You were there in solitude, but you are not alone. Feel your feet as they reach out and connect through the earth. Feel the breeze, the air around you on your body. Feel that essence of the plant through the drink it provided. Feel all the beings around you. Feel the elements. You are the air. You are the trees. You are the leaves or the berries or the grapes that are in your cup or your glass. You're the wind. You're the earth that nourished them. Take another sip. Swallow that. Feel that. Gently return your focus to the present, to where you are, to you, here and now. but keep that feeling of connectedness, that moment where you were in touch with everything else. Focus on your breath, but keep that link. Remember, by swallowing that warmth or that fizziness or that coolness or that flavor, gently open your eyes and return your focus to the present, and be slow and be gentle with yourself. Welcome back. Well, you could put me back on up there, Eric. Oh, there I am. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you had a moment of peace. I hope you were able to get connected. And if you didn't, don't worry. When we first try to do these things, it's tough because our mind wants to jump around. And as we talked last time, those thoughts will come in, and be kind to yourself. Your mind is like an untrained puppy. And if the puppy ran in the room when you were trying to do this and took a little wee on the floor, you wouldn't get mad at the puppy. You go, come on, silly puppy. I've got to take you out. So treat your mind as that silly puppy. We're in the process of training it. Nobody is a master. And if anybody tells you they are a master of mindfulness, as the saying goes, the more somebody tells you a master, the more likely they are not. And that goes for me as well. And I certainly, have my challenges as I try to keep my focus and get into the moment. But hopefully you enjoyed it. You had a good experience. And again, I just wanted to introduce these concepts, as this is a big part of what we do in culinary medicine as we examine the food experience, and particularly the non-dietary influences that impact not only what we eat, but how we eat. And hopefully, as we move on in culinary medicine, if this was something that was useful for you, that you enjoyed it, we certainly can do more of these. We've got a whole host of exciting things lined up for 2021. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. Happy New Year. Bless everyone. Stay safe. And we'll see you next month. Cheers.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we hope you can join us next month, too. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.